She almost walked past him. A cage in the back corner, a card that said, "Returned twice, not recommended." 22 pounds of gray Maine Coons sitting in silence, waiting for 8 months, and looking at everyone who passed like he already knew they weren't the one. Natalie was looking for something small and easy. What she found instead left everyone who knew her completely speechless. She almost walked past him. The cage was in the back corner of the rescue, half in shadow, and the card on the front said simply, "Maine Coon, 3 years, returned twice, not recommended for first-time owners." Natalie had been looking for a small, easy cat, something low maintenance, something that wouldn't take over her apartment or her life. She had a full-time job, a one-bedroom flat, and exactly 0 experience with cats that weighed more than a bag of groceries. His name was Apollo, and the moment she stopped in front of that cage, everything she had planned went completely out the window. Natalie had moved to the city 14 months earlier for a job that turned out to be everything she hoped and nothing she expected. The work was good. The hours were long. The apartment was clean and quiet and efficient, and she came home to it every evening and sat in a silence that had started to feel less like peace and more like something hollow she couldn't quite name. A friend had suggested a cat, something small, her friend had said, easy, a cat that sits on the windowsill and minds its own business. Natalie had nodded and driven to Maplewood Rescue on a Saturday afternoon with every intention of leaving with exactly that. The shelter volunteer, a young man named Chris, met her at the door with a clipboard and a quiet disclaimer. "Before we go in," he said, "I want to mention one cat specifically. He's been here 8 months. He was returned by his first family after 3 weeks because they said he was too demanding. The second family lasted 11 days. He's a Maine Coon, 3 years old, about 22 pounds. He's completely healthy. He's just a lot." Natalie said she was looking for something small. Chris nodded and led her inside anyway. Apollo was in the last cage on the left. He was enormous, easily the largest cat she had ever seen in person, a wall of gray fur with amber eyes that caught the light and held it like 2 small flames. He wasn't pacing, he wasn't crying, he was sitting upright in the center of his cage with the particular stillness of something that has been waiting for a very long time and has decided, out of pure dignity, to stop showing it. Natalie stopped walking. Apollo looked at her. He didn't meow, he didn't reach through the bars, he simply looked at her with those amber eyes, steady and unhurried, as if he had already made a decision and was waiting patiently for her to catch up. She stood there for 4 minutes. She counted afterward. Then she told Chris she would take him. "I see you're still here but haven't subscribed yet. That honestly breaks my heart a little. Hit that subscribe button. You are not going to want to miss what comes next." The first morning was instructive. Natalie awoke at 6:08 a.m. to find 22 pounds of Maine Coon sitting directly on her chest, his face 3 inches from hers, staring at her with an expression that communicated breakfast with remarkable clarity. She tried to move him, he didn't move. She tried again, he placed one large paw on her chin, gently but firmly, and continued staring. She got up and fed him. It took her 4 days to stop resenting the 6 a.m. wake-up call and another week to admit she had started looking forward to it. This became the routine. Apollo was not a cat who adapted to a household. He was a cat who assessed a household and then reorganized it according to his own preferences. By the end of week 1, he had claimed the left side of the sofa, the warmest spot on the kitchen windowsill, and 70% of Natalie's bed. He had also, without being invited, decided that her work-from-home desk was an acceptable place to sit, directly on the keyboard, for approximately 4 hours each afternoon. Natalie bought a second keyboard. But here is what nobody tells you about Maine Coons. They're not independent the way people think cats are independent. They follow, they watch, they insert themselves into every room, every task, every quiet moment with a persistence that looks like stubbornness until you realize it is something else entirely. Apollo was in the bathroom every morning. He was on the bed every night. He was beside her on the sofa every single evening, not touching, just present, close enough that she could always feel the warmth of him against her side. Within 3 weeks, the silence in the apartment was completely gone. She hadn't noticed how much she'd missed sound until it came back. The sound of heavy paws on hardwood floors, the low, steady rumble of a purr from across the room, the particular thud of 22 pounds landing on a surface it had absolutely no business being on. Stories like this one deserve to be told. If something in this is reaching you, you already know why. The moment that changed everything happened on a Tuesday evening in November. Natalie had had a bad day, the kind that starts wrong and compounds quietly until by 7 p.m. you are sitting on your kitchen floor for no reason you can fully explain, back against the cabinet, not crying exactly, but not far from it either. She hadn't told anyone. She hadn't called anyone. She just sat there in the quiet of her kitchen and stared at the middle distance. Apollo walked in from the hallway. He looked at her on the floor. He looked at the space beside her. Then he stepped over her outstretched legs, turned around once, and lay down directly across her lap. All 22 pounds of him, settled and warm and completely still. He stayed there for an hour and 19 minutes. Natalie timed it afterward because she couldn't think of what else to do with the feeling it left her with. She hadn't told him anything was wrong. She hadn't made a sound. He had simply walked into the room and known, the way certain creatures know things without being told, and he had done the only thing he could do, which was to stay. The two families who returned him were not unkind people. They just didn't understand what they were bringing home. A Maine Coon is not a decoration. He is not low maintenance. He is not a cat who sits on a windowsill and minds his own business. He is a presence, large and warm and entirely certain of himself, who will reorganize your furniture, commandeer your keyboard, and appear without invitation on your kitchen floor on a Tuesday evening when you need him most. Apollo decided on Natalie in that back corner cage after 8 months of waiting, and everything that followed was simply him keeping the promise he made in that first long, steady look. If you are thinking about bringing a cat into your life, do not choose based on convenience alone. Choose based on who shows up and who stays, because that distinction matters more than you think it will until the night it matters most. Because sometimes the ones marked too demanding, returned twice, not recommended, are the ones who know exactly what you need before you do. Would you have walked past Apollo's cage, or would you have stopped? Tell me in the comments.